morning, and welcome to foggy Winnipeg. I can hardly see the horizon right now, let alone the sunrise. Anyway, last night I did come back to the model table, and just before I got to the end of the day, I discovered that there's the possibility that I did glue those brackets on the bottom of this, whatever it is. I think it's sort of a derrick or a crane or something like that. It could be I should have had them at 90 degrees instead of coming straight out the bottom. Anyway, if you get through the rollback, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're going to carry on today. Got to get a few more parts, and we're getting very close. I would say we're probably about 75-80% done with getting small parts that we have to paint and then later put on the deck. We're getting there slowly. We are going forward, not backwards. Sometimes I think we're going backwards, but no, we're going forward. We're going to get this Rodney done. I don't know when, though. Maybe Christmas time? I'd like to get into the Iowa. Oh, one of the viewers put a comment in Jim Steen's Facebook group page mentioning that he had ordered Trumpeter's 1/200 scale Yamato, and he's excited about it. I can feel his excitement. I can hardly wait until he does a review. I'm going to wait until, I'm not going to get mine until I hear what a few real modelers have to say about it. Anyway, let's move on here today and roll back and see how it is that we got to this place. At the end of the last episode, we finally got step 19 finished. And if you will recall, probably with a lot of pain, we took quite a while to get these and this in place. It was a lot harder than I thought it would. Now, I probably could have gone about it differently and made it easier for myself, but I didn't. Anyway, it's done. So there we go. Step 20. Now for step 20, I think I mentioned this before, a lot of these pieces we have already made. They're sitting in tins over on the other side of the table there. And when I was looking at our piece here that we made in 19, that's this piece right here, it drops down on the deck, and it appears to me that it sits perpendicular to the deck. I don't know what held it in place. It must have been something. We'll put some easy line or something on it eventually to make it look believable, because it wouldn't just stick up there all by itself. I think it could if it was either square or maybe triangular like a tripod, but it's not. It's flat. Now I had thought that these pieces here, it says H12. At first I thought this was attached, but it's not. This one over here is the same as this one right here. And I spent probably about 15 minutes, maybe longer, going through Carlo's book and to see, what were these right here. And if you look at them, you realize that these are tubes that probably the gun cleaning equipment was in. The Bismarck had these as well. I don't remember the hood having any, but they probably did. The ones on the hood, they were kind of a funny shape. They almost looked like booms for a crane. Anyway, the bottom line is these things here are painted quite a dark color in Carlo's book. Well, maybe I'll get that book out here. So right now it's on the other side of the table as well. I'll bring it over here and we'll just sort of go through it. And you'll see that Carlo has drawn a lot of these things dark color, as well as these tubes. So spraying them the 56 is probably going to be just about right. They in all likelihood they were metal tubes of some kind. I'm guessing probably 12 inches in diameter, maybe more. Well, okay. Now, if the guns were 15 or 16 inches in bore, you would think that whatever they used to scrub them out would be 15 or 16 inches in diameter. So maybe these tubes were a lot larger in diameter than what I think they are. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They are what they are. We are going to have to be painting the anchorways. In Carlo's book, as you're going to notice, he has depicted them as sort of a light gray. In other words, probably the number 66, I would think. And I'm thinking that in all likelihood, it might be a good idea to do the breakwaters the lighter gray as well. If I was to do the breakwater the darker color, with like all these smaller parts, it just might not look right. I do remember that when I was painting some of the pieces a month ago with the 56, there was one part that goes on the top of the superstructure that I painted, the 56, that I'm thinking now I'm going to have to repaint the 66, the lighter gray, or well, it's not really a light gray. It's a same as the side of the. Anyway, enough talk here. Let's get our sprues. We need the H sprue. H. These are H. Looks like that's not the ensign flag. That's the jack stand. The jack flag. No, the jack stand flag staff. The jack stand, I think, is the part that goes down in the bow and keeps this thing from falling over. But what do I know? I wasn't there. And I don't have to know. I don't have to write a test at the end of building this model, fortunately. Okay, let's get our H sprue. Okay, H32. That's the flagstaff that goes on the bow. And I was thinking, well, there's two H sprues. So if we break one, we've always got the other one, right? So then I thought, well, I wonder what the one that the ensign flag staff looks like that goes on the stern. Well, don't you know it's also H32. I'm just going to do both of them at the same time, even though we're not going to be at that step for a while. It's a couple of pages ahead. Yeah, interesting. They're exactly the same. I would have thought they might have been a little bit different somehow, but I guess not. Okay, I got these things nipped off and cleaned up a little bit. I suppose maybe if you look closely you might be able to see a seam there. I can't see it myself right now. But that's not what I was thinking of. What I'm thinking about is how is the best way to paint these, because obviously you can't just stick them down onto the tape, because you're only going to be painting one side, and then if you roll them over 180 degrees and to paint the other side, you're probably going to damage the paint job you did on the first time. Now, these things, they plug into holes that are on the bow and on the stern, and probably they go in about maybe 0.5 millimeter. So I'm just wondering if maybe the best thing to do would be to just sort of hold them in tweezers like this, and then we just use our poor man's self-locking tweezer system here, and I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I think that's probably the best way to go, because in all likelihood, when I apply the glue to put them plug them into the hole, I'm going to end up making a mess of the paint anyway. So at least, for about 1 millimeter or so, might have to be touched up anyway. So I know it's not going to get painted right here where the tweezer is grabbing. Once again, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. At the moment, I think that's the way I'm going to go. I have quite a few of these tweezers, and you can just sort of bend them into shape so that they'll, accommodate whatever it is you're going to. In other words, the way they are right now, these blocks even though it's only a 1/16 of an inch slot that I've cut through there. That's not enough to close these up tightly. So you gotta take these tweezers and bend them in a little bit on the ends. Yeah, but you know, they're cheap and they bend easy, and I'm not too worried about doing that. Okay. Now these gun cleaning equipment tubes, numbers 41 and number 43. The number 41s go on either side. There's two on each side of main gun number 1 and two on each side of main gun number 3. But to me they look the same. Now I haven't measured them yet, so it could be that the 43 here is actually longer. Maybe a millimeter. Or are they the same? If I fine-tune my caliper here, it's kind of hard to get it in. Maybe when I nip them off I'll be able to tell. Well, I'm sorry, Trumpeter, but to me those look like they're the same. The only reason they look different is because they're offset. These ones are more this way, and these ones are more this way. But to me, they look the same. Everything looks the same. I don't know why they're a different number, but they are. Well, we'll keep them separate. We'll keep them separate. The other day I was mentioning how I guess it'd be quite a while ago now, I made this mention that I found that I could use my hobby knife blade to scrape off the seam. And one of the viewers, and I'm sorry I forgot who it was who mentioned this, he says he uses the back of the blade. You know, like there's the sharp edge on the back. It's not sharp like this, but at least the idea is it doesn't dig in. And so I've been trying that, and it actually does work quite well for removing the seam. And as mentioned, it doesn't dig in. And you can pinpoint your seam removal quite accurately. Now I don't have the macro lens on here, but I suppose I could have put it on to prove my point. But anyway, you get the idea. Just use the back of the blade, not the sharp edge. Okay, I just wanted to mention that, and thanks to that viewer. And by the way, speaking of those kind of comments, just because I may not make a big deal about it or something like that, it doesn't mean that other viewers also read the comment and benefit from it. So keep the good ideas coming, you know. Even though all I'll do is just give you a thumbs up. Okay. Now, I suppose another viewer was mentioning how he sort of cringes when I use the file to remove stuff like this, because he figures it's a little bit heavy duty. But for me, I find it works really well. It might be a little bit on the you know, like I'm trying to move this sprue connection here, and I pretty well got it off. And then we move on and do our scraper thing. I think I was saying it in context with how I used to use a scraper downstairs on my lathe in turning. Let's just turn this around, speaking of turning. Okay, now where are we here? Yeah. You see, it just takes that seam right off. Really, really nice. I hope that came out. Okay, here we have a number 41. And here we have a number 43. No, I am not seeing any difference. They are the same as far as I'm concerned. If I get them mixed up, I don't care. But it only stands to reason that they would be, unless the diameter, could it be that this one is a little bit thicker? I suppose I could measure it that way. Anyway, it stands to reason, though, that they would be the same, because those three main guns on the front of the Rodney were all the same caliber. So, yeah, it only makes sense that the cleaning equipment would be the same, doesn't it? Does to me. Probably you can't see that too good, but I just measured the diameter, excuse me, and they're all about that amount there, 1.7 millimeters in diameter, give or take, depending on which way you measure them. But they both measured out the same as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you'll remember, I was mentioning how Carlo had drawn these anchor chain ways, sort of a light gray, or I guess you call it a regular gray. And the anchor chains themselves are black. So we'll wait till we get to the anchor chains. I'll probably do the anchor chains in black or off black. But just a moment ago when I was looking for this picture, there's one over on the adjacent page. So I'm just going to slide you over here. This is that part that we just built. And it's laying down on the deck. It's not standing up. And it's got a couple of tubes on both sides of it. I don't know if we're going to be nipping something off that's going to be similar to these or not yet. We haven't come that far. But anyway, let's go and try and find that gun cleaning equipment tubes, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I came to some more on the anchor chain ways, and we'll just quickly look at that. Okay, I do believe there are better pictures of them, but I don't think there are any illustrations that show both the 41s and the 43s, both in the same illustration. So, yeah, you can see them here, but they're... Just let me page on, I'll find better. Well, I thought I remember them being a little clearer than that, but you can see they're rather a dark color. Okay, I think that's about it. I can't do any better. But this is really interesting. I wonder if I've made a mistake here and I've misread the manual. But doesn't it look to you like it's supposed to stand up? Yeah, it just drops straight down. Doesn't show it laying on the deck. Well, we'll check when we come to it. You know, I guess I can always, you know, by the time we come to it, these little brackets that we so painstakingly put on, you know, if they were supposed to be at 90 degrees, I could probably, I guess, break them. But like I say, we'll worry about it when we come to it. Well, you know, I think we did pretty good for this evening. Yeah, what do we got? 19 minutes after 8? I think it's time to call it a day. We'll see you in the morning. It is morning. And unless I have missed something here, the only thing we have left to get for step 20 is the H12s. And we need 2 of them. And here we go, H12. Now I can envision accidentally breaking this right here. Okay, you can see at the top of this post here, and this one, there's a little pulley. And I think if we were to, after it's painted of course, run a piece of easy line from here to here, it would look believable. I don't know if we'd want to run the easy line down, maybe to the base here. That might, well, it might look believable too. I don't know. At least they're not telling us to get a little piece of photo etch, you know, a little hook. Do you remember on the Bismarck, there was a tiny little hook that had to go on the one of the cranes. It was one of the cranes that was used to lift the aircraft out of the hangar and onto the catapult. And there was this very, very tiny little photo etch hook. And I tried, and I just couldn't get it. It's one of the few times that the photo etch was just beyond me. Now, as a lot of you know, Steve in the model shed is also doing the 200 scale Bismarck now. And it is going to be extremely interesting for me to watch and see how does he manage some of these little tiny places, little tiny parts that caused me so much trouble. Now, speaking of trouble, let me zoom you in here so that you can see the trouble I'm having getting this paper off of the top of the double-sided tape. Okay, I'm trying extra hard not to flub it up here. Now I'm thinking that the rotating blocks will be a lot better for painting these, because I'm going to want to have the entire thing properly done. And we'll just try and get them basically in the center there. All right, now these won't come off of there. That's that double-sided tape is very sticky. In fact, it's too sticky. Well, it's not too sticky for this, but it's too sticky for normal little parts, as we found out. Okay, let's move on here. Are we done now with step 20? Yes, we are done with step 20. I can't see anything else that we have to get. I'm not going to bore you by listing all the parts that we got, because I'm sure you can remember them. Okay, step 21. I think we have everything. Did we get this C18? Do I see it over there on the... I see something that looks like it. Just hang on a second here. Is that? No, that's something different. This is E19. This must be something different. Well, I'm not sure now. Well, you know what? We're going to have to check this out tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to cut today's episode off, and we'll figure this out tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we'll be seeing you tomorrow.